Dear students, let us continue with the chapter Wireless LAN. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss the points that we have already discussed related to the access point. So here in this video lecture, first we will discuss the services offered by the access point and different types. Then concept of roaming in wireless network. Then characteristics of wireless LAN. The IEEE standard 802.11 that we have already discussed, where the bottom two layers, physical layer and MAC layer, is need to consider in case of the implementation of wireless system. Then different standards, 802.11 A, B, G, H, I kind of standards. Then wireless LAN design goals, IRDA, infrared based wireless communication, and the comparison between the infrared network and the wireless network which is working on radio wave. Then different kinds of the wireless network, infrastructure network and ad hoc network and their comparison. Then high performance wireless LAN or local LAN network, Bluetooth technology and its standard, and finally IEEE 802.16.20, 21 and 22. So already we have discussed the different components of wireless LAN. So in case of wireless communication system, access point plays an important role to provide wireless service, and wireless LAN adapters are also important in case of computer world. So in wireless LAN, following configurations are observed. The first one is the access point. So this access point connects to the wired network from a fixed location via Ethernet cable. So usually it is observed that the access point is connected with the backbone cable or network cable. So this access point receives and transmits information from mobile devices such as laptop, mobile phones, PDAs, etc. and the wired infrastructure network. So access point provides a single access point, can function anywhere in the range of 30 meters to several hundred meters. All the communication in wireless network, so usually in case of infrastructure based wireless network, all the traffic or all the communication through the central access point. The next component is adapter. So without wireless adapter, it is not possible to connect our device to the wireless network. So usually in case of the desktop computers and laptops, you will find the wireless adapters. So these adapters are responsible to provide the wireless service to the device. So the mobile device communicate with the operating system via Wlan adapter, that is radio network interface card, NIC card, which is inserted in ISA or PCA sockets. So this is observed in desktop computers. So there are two kinds of access points mainly observed, that is hardware access point and software access point. So here in these two figures we can able to see, the first figure shows the wireless LAN or network with hardware access point. So here the wired Ethernet cable where the two desktop computers are connected with each other, and one hardware access point or wireless access point or Wi-Fi router is connected to the Ethernet cable, and this particular hardware is responsible to provide wireless service to the mobile devices. So laptop, mobile phones or desktop computers can be connected to the hardware access point. Sometimes it is also observed that the creation of the access point by using software settings. So as far as this configuration is concerned, in the second figure, once again here we can able to see the Ethernet cable is there, and one computer is connected, desktop computer is connected to the Ethernet cable, and the software which is available in the desktop is responsible to provide Wi-Fi network. So at that time the adapter which is available with the desktop computer will provide the wireless service. So this is one kind of configuration which is observed in laptops or mobile phone, that is creation of hotspot and just provide the wireless service or the internet service to the other wireless devices. So in this case the software access point based computer will provide the wireless service to the mobile devices. So in these two figures, if suppose this laptop want to communicate with the server or file server, so at that time first he will send the request signal to the hardware access point, and this access point again will communicate with the server which is connected in the Ethernet or in the LAN. Same scenario is observed in case of software based local area network or software access point based wireless local area network. So in this case, suppose laptop want to communicate with the file server or server computer. So in this case laptop will communicate first with desktop computer who is providing the wireless service, and then this software access point based desktop will communicate with the file server. So to configure the laptop or any wireless adapter based device for access point, so at that time supportable software is important or need to install in the computer or laptop or mobile phone, then only it is possible to provide the wireless service by using software configuration. So the existing hardware which is observed in mobile phones or laptops are work with the software which is installed for the access point. Then we'll see the advantages of this software access point. So it does not limit the type or number of network interfaces with you or in the use. It allows considerable flexibility in providing access to the different types, such as different types of Ethernet, wireless or token ring network. So in case of any kind of Ethernet or backbone cable or the type of the network, we can configure the device for wireless service. Then we will discuss the ranges of the access points. The typical indoor range for the access point is about 150 to 300 feet, but can be shorter in building construction. So as we discussed earlier, due to the obstructions, we are getting the limited access range. So that's why longer range are possible in case of outdoor environment, but the performance will degrade with the distance. That means as the distance increases, attenuation or the signal strength will will go reduced. Then outdoor ranges are quoted up to 1000 feet, but again this depends upon the type of the environment. If suppose hilly area or obstructions is there, definitely the coverage range get reduced. Then there are ways to extend the basic operating range of wireless communication by using more than single access point or using the wireless relay or extension point. So suppose somebody want to increase the access range or coverage area, so simply he will hook the additional access point to the existing wireless network. So wireless adapters extensions are possible to increase the range of access points. The number of users in the access point. So as we know, if suppose the number of users get increased in the wireless network, definitely the degradation in the performance. So number of users are also need to consider performance point of view. So number of users depends upon the manufacturer of the access point. Some hardware access point have the recommended limit of 10 users. So with other expensive access points supporting up to 100 users, it is also possible. So using more computers than recommended will cause performance degradation and reliability to suffer. So variation in the data rate or performance of the network get degraded if suppose the number of users get increased in the network. Then software access point may also impose user limitation, but this depends upon the specific software or a kind of software which is installed in the laptop or desktop which is working with the wireless adapters, and the host computer's ability to process the required information. Required information. So here again, in case of software access point based wireless network, also it is observed that if suppose the number of users or the mobile phones or the gadgets get increased, so at that time also the performance of this software access point based network get degraded. Then about the multiple access points, as we discussed, if somebody want to increase the coverage area, so at that time extensions are also available to increase the coverage area. So multiple access points can be connected to the wired LAN or sometimes even the second wireless LAN if the access point support this. So depending on the type of the hardware or configurations available with the access point of the router, we can connect another router or access point to the existing wireless network or the wireless device which is available in the network. So in most cases separate access points are interconnected via wired LAN, providing wireless connectivity in specific areas such as offices or classroom, such a way that to cover all the areas available in the building. But connected to main wired LAN for access to the network resources such as file server. So the diagram or configuration that we have seen in previous slide, that kind of configuration is observed in the infrastructure. So here we can able to see once again the backbone cable is there or Ethernet is there, where one desktop computer and file server or server machine is connected to the Ethernet LAN, and one hardware access point is also connected to the LAN cable or backbone cable. So this access point is responsible to provide wireless services to the mobile devices, And here we can able to see one more device, that is extension, that is wireless extension point. So this particular extension point or the hardware is need to connect or configure with the primary access point such a way that to increase the coverage area. So this access point again will provide wireless service to the another building or another area. So in this way extension points are helpful to increase the coverage area. Now in this case the connection between the access point and the extension might be wired or wireless or wirelessly connected to the access point. Like mobile cellular system, if suppose the mobile device is changing his location or moving from one area to another area or one cellular network to the another cellular network, so at that time the roaming kind of procedure is observed. So in this case also, in case of wireless LAN also, roaming feature is also observed, where if suppose the mobile device is changing its location from one location to another location, or suppose he is moving or that particular mobile station is moving from one building to the another building, so at that time if suppose the two access points are connected with the backbone cable and suppose the coverage areas are overlapped, so without disturbing the services offered to the mobile station, all the communication takes place to the multiple access point. So in this particular case we can able to see the access point 1 provides a area 1 and access point 2. So this is the software access point. So suppose software access point 2 providing the coverage area 2. So suppose the mobile station is moving from area 1 to area 2, so at that time the handoff kind of procedure is observed. And so here we can able to see in this particular case the overlapping of the wireless network are most important. So to achieve the handoff kind of service from the wireless LAN, so at that time the overlapping of the area 1 and area 2 or multiple coverage area overlapping is required. So suppose he is moving from area 1 to area 2, so at that time the services which are running with the mobile station are not get disturbed. And this particular feature, that is roaming feature, is not observed in all access points. So about the roaming, a wireless computer can roam from one access point to another with software and hardware, maintaining a steady network connection by monitoring the signal strength from in-range access point and locking on to the one with the best quality. So in this case also it is observed that the signal quality or strength of the signal get measured, and according to that the decision takes place. Decision is taken either to provide the roaming service to the mobile station or no. So usually this is completely transparent to the user. They are not aware that different access point is being used from area to area. So some access point configuration requires security authentication when swapping access points. That means if suppose they are changing, if suppose the mobile stations are changing the locations, so usually in the form of the password dialog box. So if suppose two networks are password protected and suppose the mobile station is changing its location, so at that time the settings related to the ID and password are need to consider. So as I said, to achieve this roaming kind of feature, access point and the coverage area must be overlapped. So access points are required to have overlapping of wireless areas to achieve this particular roaming feature. In this scenario, we can able to see LAN to LAN wireless communication. So here we can able to see wired Ethernet network 1. Once again, one desktop computer, server computer are connected by using Ethernet cable, and one hardware access point is also connected to the backbone or the Ethernet cable. Okay, and the laptop and the other desktop computers are communicating with the hardware access point. One more network, that is wired Ethernet network. 3 machines are connected in bus configuration or Ethernet cable, and one machine which is connected or available in the LAN is configured for software access point. So here the hardware access point and the software access points are responsible to communicate with each other. So in this way, 2 different Ethernets can be connected by using hardware access point, that is by using 2 hardware access points or hardware access point and software access point based configuration. So these are the categories that we already discussed, different IEEE standards for Wi-Fi. So 802.11a to 802.11h, 802.11b to 11g, 802.11ie up to w. Then other wireless technologies with their standards. For Zigbee it is 802.15.4, and again depending on the specifications, the categories 15.4.4, 4a and 4b, 802.15.5, 15.3, 15.2, 15.1 for Bluetooth, and if you are considering the WiMAX, so at that time 802.20, so mobile broadband wireless access point service. Now we'll see the characteristics of wireless LAN. So the first, the advantages, it's very flexible within the reception area. Adapt networks without previous planning is possible. Then almost no wiring difficulties, for example historic building or firewalls. So without disturbing the historical buildings and without disturbing the configurations, simply hooking off the access points are sufficient to provide wireless service. It's a more robust against the disasters like, for example, earthquake, fire, or the user pulling a plug. But only the thing is that the access point is need to configure such a way that these parameters should not affect the configured access point. Then about the data rate. So wireless network will provide the limited data rate as compared to the wired local area network or wired configuration. So typically very low bandwidth compared to the wired network, 1 to 10 Mbps due to the shared medium. So the data which is available with the access point gets shared by the number of devices communicating with the access point. Then many proprietary solutions, especially for higher bit rates, standards take their time. So as we discussed the different IEEE standards and series, that is 802.11b, AC, G, H, and then products have to follow many national restrictions. If working wireless, it takes a very long time to establish global solution like IMT 2000. So while configuring and designing of the access points and the channel and their features, again the global considerations are most important. Then the design goals for the wireless LAN. The design hardware and the wireless LAN configuration and the specifications of the access point must be global, and it should provide the seamless operation. It should work with low power for battery use. The access points and the mobile devices and the wireless standards available with the mobile stations should consume minimum battery. Then in case of limited area applications, so at that time no special permissions or licenses needed to use the LAN. Then the design of the wireless LAN must be robust one. Okay, so robust transmission technology. Then simplified spontaneous cooperation at meetings. Then the design of the LAN must be easy to use for everyone and simple management or simple configuration of the devices. Then the protection of the investment in wired network. Then the security parameter. So no one should be able to read my data, that is your designed network or wireless LAN, or the data which is available with the Wi-Fi must be secured one. In the privacy, no one should be able to collect the user profiles. Then the safety. So safety in terms of radiations or interference of the neighboring wireless signals. Then transparency concerning applications and higher layer protocols, but also location awareness if necessary. So the designed wireless LAN or the protocols available with the Wi-Fi network should work with the existing TCP or TCP and the OSI layered based protocols. Okay, so at that time the data or the packets or information available with the wireless LAN should work properly with the existing TCP or the or usually TCP/IP based network. Then we will compare the infrastructure infrared versus radio transmission. So in case of infrared based communication or wireless communication, IR diodes are mainly observed, who are responsible to provide the information in the non-visible wavelength. So here in case of infrared, IR diodes are mainly used for data transmission and photo detectors for the detection, where the diffuse light, multiple reflectors and wall furnitures. And as I said, the photodiodes are responsible to receive the infrared to reconstruct the information. So this particular infrared based wireless communication system or data transmission system is a simple in construction, cheaper in cost, and available in many mobile devices or gadgets. So to use this particular infrared based wireless communication, no licenses are needed. So here with this infrared configuration, you will find simple shielding on the IR diodes. The disadvantage of this particular IRDA scheme is that interference by sunlight and heat sources, etc. So if suppose the light rays get mixed with the sun rays, so at that time the degradation in the performance, if suppose the light emitting diodes and or the IR diodes and the temperature if suppose goes increased, so at that time again the degradation in the performance. Then many things shield or absorb IR light. So special shielding on the infrared devices, light source and photodiodes is required. Then limited bandwidth up to few kbps of speed we are getting with this particular infrared based wireless communication scheme. So this kind of configuration, IRDA, that is infrared data association based IRDA or infrared based communication protocols, and the hardware is observed in handheld or any or the n number of gadgets nowadays. So in this figure we can able to see on the desk the laptops and the gadgets are connected by using IRDA scheme. So this is nothing but the IRDA network. The important thing is that due to the limited coverage area and the limited bandwidth, it is most important to align the so alignment of the devices or gadgets in such a way that to transmit and receive the information properly. Then the comparison between this infrared and radio transmission. So in case of radio, where the frequency in the range of 2.4 gigahertz, okay, so typically using the license free ISM band with 2.4 gigahertz, an advantage of this is this particular radio based network is that so experience from the wireless LAN and mobile phone can be used. Coverage of larger areas are possible. Radio can penetrate walls and furnitures. So this is the main advantage of this radio transmission scheme. Few disadvantages: very limited license-free frequency bands are available for use, and the shielding of the radio signal is more difficult. So due to this reason, interference with other electrical devices and the fluctuations in the radio wave is observed. So nowadays number of gadgets are available or coming with the Wi-Fi modules. So due to this reason, the gadgets can be connected to the Wi-Fi network. Now in these two figures, the comparison of infrastructure and the ad hoc network is given. So in the first figure, the Ethernet cable or backbone cable is connected to the number of access points, and these access points, AP means access points, are responsible to provide wireless service to the infrastructure or in the building premises. Okay, so 3 access points are connected and the coverage area is not overlap. So if we adjust the access point such a way that to overlap the coverage area, so at that time we can use the roaming feature of the wireless local area network. So this is about the infrastructure. In case of ad hoc network, or sometimes it is called a peer-to-peer or point-to-point kind of ad hoc network. So here the temporary or ad hoc network where the devices are configured such a way that to share the information. So here two mobile phones and one laptop are connected with each other for data communication. One more figure, or at the right hand side, the three mobile phones are connected with each other to share the information. So in case of ad hoc network, the access point is not needed, like the access point which is observed in the infrastructure based wireless local area network. So a very good coordination is required between the medium access of wireless nodes and access point, else the collision can occur in case of infrastructure network. So coordination between the access points is most important, and the standard protocols are needed like CSMA kind of protocols to avoid collision problem. So if the access points control the medium access of individual terminal, collision can be largely minimized. Then about the complexity with ad hoc network. So here each node has to implement medium access mechanism to handle hidden and exposed problem, and their priority mechanisms are required in each node. So these are the configurations are required in case of the ad hoc networks. Then the greatest advantage of this is that flexibility in installation and configuration. Once the device get configured for the ad hoc communication or the ad hoc network, next time the device will communicate with the other device directly. So the identification of the device, SSID password authentication settings are required before the data communication or data sharing.